This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to a review of the Acolyte Episode 8. Currently titled Episode 8, but I think that's only a placeholder name, and that we will have the title be updated at a later point. My best guess is this is going to be titled either The Power of Two or The Power of Many. But honestly, I don't know, this was a kind of all over the place episode. There were things that I actually enjoyed, things that I didn't enjoy, and finally, just some stuff that I kind of rolled my eyes at. But yeah, let's talk about the coolest thing this series has done, and that is our first ever live action look at Plagueis. And I put up this live action look since this is literally the only thing we get of him. Honestly, Plagueis looks incredible in this. And while I think some people are disagreeing, a bunch of stuff was happening in my house, so I had to take like a 15-minute break from recording. But while I was doing that, I was in an online debate about how Plagueis looks, and honestly, I think he looks good in this. I don't see his full head, but from what I can see, it looks pretty good to immune, and I'm glad he is immune. He is not being changed to be well, either OSHA or May, and I'm really glad that it seems unlikely we could get another season of this, but we can get James Luceno writing a new version of the Plagueis novel, and it's honestly just really cool to see him. Although he's alive a lot earlier than he should be, I'm honestly fine with this for him specifically, since Plagueis was investigating into immortality and how to extend his own life, so having him living a lot longer lifespan than mutants normally do does make sense, while it was just completely stupid for Keanu to even be there since he denies the Sith exists, and honestly don't want to get into that debate right now, but it was just dumb for Keanu to be here, but it can at least, with just pushing logic a little bit, make sense for Plagueis to be here, and if nothing else, it's just really cool to see him done in live action and know that he's fully immune. And although they didn't say his name was Plagueis, every person knows this is Plagueis, so let's move on to the rest of the episode, and I think I just talked about Plagueis for like over half of the recording time I've had this video so far. So let's go on to the rest of the episode, which has a few more good things to talk about than a bunch of bad. And going into the rest of the good, looking at what was incredible was, again, the choreography. Honestly, the fighting looked really great in this. There is nothing in here that compares to Duel of the Fates or Battle of the Heroes. Honestly, it really doesn't compare to anything besides the first battle between Obi-Wan and Vader. And that's mainly because that is such a simple fight that they really weren't able to make anything too complicated about. But even that is still, in my opinion, better than the ones in this show. While there's a lot more slow, there's a lot more emotion behind it. And here, there's honestly pretty interesting to see still. The fight between Ocean and May was clearly the weaker one. It looked okay, but wasn't amazing. The really good one was between Soul and Khmer, and that fight was genuinely really well done. It looked really cool. It had some really cool moments. Was it just like that one moment where they were both going down and it just seemed like they had like a slow-mo effect going on them falling. I think that was to represent them using the force to slow down their fall, but I don't know, that looked really weird. Going on to just some of the other things that I did like, I think that Osha being turned to the dark side was done well. She had a moment where she had everything she believed in destroyed. She learned that Soul killed her mom, and she had a very emotional reaction to that. I think that was completely believable that in that moment she let her anger overcome her and she would execute Soul. I think it feels a very good amount of manipulation from Tamir in the previous episode and pushing her to fall to the dark side. And she does need that moment of weakness here. And honestly, that was really well done. I also really like how Soul is devastated by this, realizing that he caused all this, and his performance was amazing. The worst part about killing off his character is if they have season two, they killed off the best part of the show. So, yeah, honestly, that's about where it ends with the good, and now it is time to go into the bad. But one thing I'd like to mention first is I would love to see a scene where the senator, I don't remember his name, but it's the guy who played Martian Manhunter in Supergirl. I would have loved a scene where he's meeting with Hugo Damask, and that would have been a nice call to the fans. And honestly, I think that would have just helped a lot more to see why he was so anti-Jedi and he was being pushed by the Sith. Honestly, I think that would have been a really good moment to have. But really, besides that, there were so many problems with this episode. The first, and honestly, the dumbest and most obvious thing is that Soul left Pip with May, which she used to pick the lock. Honestly, that was just stupid and was only done to make the plot go along because you don't leave a very obvious lockpick in the hands of a prisoner. And moving on from that, honestly, the chase was, although it was kind of interesting to see them go through the asteroid field or the rings of the planet. I think there was just some exceptionally stupid moments, and I don't get why or understand anything about the character of Basil. He doesn't speak in a language that you understand, and that's a problem when he just decides to, for what seems like no reason, go and disable the Jedi ship's weapons so Soul cannot take down May. I don't even get why. I'm assuming he's the one who sabotaged the ship 2 episodes ago. And with this, it also seems that when May puts the helmet on, it is not, as I thought, to see what happened in the past, but just for her to see a vision of the future and of who she thinks is May, but actually her killing Soul. And honestly, I think that the last week's episode makes it even more relevant to be where it is. I wasn't thinking of this initially, but I wasn't thinking about it now after Thor Skywalker mentioned it in his review. But with that, I totally agree that, and did mention this, that episodes 3 and 7 should have been combined, but it should have been the first episode of the show to set everything up, and that would have helped a lot more. This, I don't know, they're saying Rashomon effect, it just didn't make any sense. It made the storytelling really poor, and this easily could have been a 7 episode show where 3 and 7 were combined. But continuing on to stuff I didn't love, we get at least a partial explanation of what happened here with the Mayanosha's birth, and that is that they were one being that was split into two. They're not sisters, and they are just the same person who was split into two people. I don't know really how I feel about that with the witches doing that, but there are other things I didn't fully love. Oh, one last thing I'm fine with, but it's the fact that Vanestra was the master of Khmer when he was a Jedi, which I think a lot of people were predicting because he had whip scars on his back. But I think I really don't have any opinion on that either way. It's fine, but coming back to Vanestra, man, she is terrible in this series. I heard that she's supposed to be like a Jedi prodigy and the youngest Jedi, either knight or master to ever exist. But honestly, I think that she is just genuinely a terrible person in this. She decides to have a cover up and blames everything on Soul, has him be the person who's killed everyone and killed himself. And she has just the complete audacity to call him a friend. Honestly, if we didn't know that Plagueis existed and he was the one to train Khmer, honestly, I would think that she's a Sith because she does not act like a Jedi at all. I also don't really love how they're trying to make the Sith look like good guys in this. It just felt really off where you have Khmer just kind of standing there and being like really friendly. Although it could be part of manipulation, just I don't know, it just felt off and like not how a Sith should be. I think it's interesting that he went and wiped May's mind to keep everything safe and to be able to honor his deal with OSHA, but I think that OSHA is. I really don't see her. Well, we know that she can't become a Sith because Plagueis trains Palpatine, and we know that Palpatine is the next Sith. We also. I don't know if it's fully confirmed, but we know that at least partially in some kind of reference book or something that Plagueis is killed during the events of the Phantom Menace in canon. So he will be living for another 100 years. So we know that if season 2 does happen, you would have to be seeing the deaths of Osha and Khmer and potentially the arrival of a young Palpatine. But just going through the rest of this, yeah, honestly, it was a fine episode overall. It had some stuff I really didn't like, some stuff I really did enjoy, and that just awesome look at Plagueis in live action. But really, besides that, I just feel really disappointed with the show. It was overall really bad. It didn't give us really anything that good besides that awesome look at Plagueis. And it was just been better if this didn't exist. I so hope that we do not get a season 2. And if we do, they just better get James Luceno to come in here and write season 2 and more or less make an adaptation of the Plagueis novel that they toss just a little bit more into. But yeah, honestly, they should just make a Plagueis series where they quickly kill off Osha and Khmer and have him train Palpatine throughout it. That's just a better idea for a show, but I don't know. I'm also going to have a temporary thumbnail that says episode 8 for this for now, and we'll change it around to the episode's actual title once that's revealed. That it's probably going to be like tomorrow, though. So I don't know what you think. Please leave me in the comments, and I'll see you next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.